Hello, hello, hello. What ho? Welcome back to another exciting adventure of The Plain Truth. I'm your host, Travis Finley. I have to chuckle every single time because this is like take 75. Honestly, I just keep thinking of different things and wanting to try to make this. And I've just spent an hour plus looking for footage that can show you what I've seen for the past 5 years. Because if you haven't gone out and made these observations, I think that there are going to be a lot of blank spots in your comprehension because you're going to be like thinking, well, I don't really know. Like, I know more about the movie series than you do, and I can fill in blanks and say, this is what this means and this is what this means. But if you haven't watched the entire series, if you haven't read the entire book, and you're only in the first couple of chapters, and I'm trying to like tell you how the story's going to go, you don't have enough information. So that's why these videos, for me, on my channel, end up taking so much more time. Because if I just gave you a brief snapshot and said, this is this and this is this, unless you did the work yourself, you wouldn't really understand all of the nuances. And then you would just be a parrot and say, well, Travis says on the Plain Truth channel that, and here's his picture, right? You would just be a parrot. So I'm always trying to give you as much information as possible. And so I guess that's my downfall. That's my Achilles heel in this whole um, exercise. But I love this video, this boat floating above the apparent water limit. So what we have here in this diagram here is, to the left you have a cape that is 10 miles away. In the middle you have land that is farther south at 12 miles, and then to the right you have a 6-mile cape. You can see that the 6-mile cape is darker, which means that it's closer and it's larger. And then you can see the changes in the color tone, right? So you've got on the right near, on the left far, and in the middle farther or farthest, right? So my point in all of this, to go back to breaking down a normal discussion between two people who can reason together. If this were the image of an island or a set of islands in front of you on the ocean, and you saw this boat in this visual setting, how would you what's the word I'm looking for? Deconstruct. How would you deconstruct this image? Because it's almost like common sense gets thrown out the window when we listen to the narrative of how superior mirages came to be classified as superior mirages. So I guess right now, let me just take a break and bring up these images from Georgia State University. So I'll do that real quick. I'll be right back. This diagram is a reproduction from the text by Robert Greenler, Rainbows, Halos, and Glories, and then he has sections on the mirage phenomena, and this is an image from the Georgia State University HyperPhysics on mirages, but it's a reproduction of what Greenler produced. And so here is what this paragraph says. A superior mirage can be produced when warm air exists over cold water. Again, using the pattern from Greenler, the vertical scale and the curvature are greatly exaggerated to show the effect. Such images are often seen at great distances in the Arctic region when the air is significantly warmer than the water. Since the geometry of the mirage images depends on the details of the temperature contour, a great variety of mirage images can be formed. Now, in my opinion, this is too obscure to be helpful in any, like, when you don't have the scaling proper, like, the only thing that you need to do on a flat earth model is just simply do ratio, right? Because if you look at this depiction right now, the depiction of the water in front of the viewer is a flat earth depiction. So in the great scale negator model of the globe world, we would have to have an immense, a huge, huge diagram to show the curvature of the earth. But basically what this diagram is showing you is that this real target of the boat on the water is behind the curve. That's what those curved visual lines are from the observer. Okay, he's looking over the curve to see the boat, but he can't see the boat directly. It has to be loomed up. So looming and superior mirage are conflated. I don't subscribe to using looming when you see a superior mirage or an inferior mirage per se, or Fata Morgana or whatever. Okay, looming is a specific phenomenon. On a side note, this is editorial Travis talking now. The other fail on this diagram is there's no inverted image. It just shows a displaced image. But if you have a mirage, right, this is where the conflation, this is where the inaccuracy of all of this terminology comes to a head and people just don't pay attention. If you do not have an inverted image, you do not have a mirage. So I'm going to repeat myself as I have before. There is only mirage. You have the physical target, and then the mirage is below it. It has to have an inverted image. And in this diagram, it just has a displaced target with no inverted image. So this is not a mirage. So then at this point, we need to be asking ourselves, what is looming and what is a superior mirage? Because based on what I'm ranting about right now, they conflate a superior mirage with looming. How come you can see that ship? It's supposed to be beyond the curve. It's being loomed up. It's a superior mirage. The reason why I'm saying this is because this image in this diagram right now doesn't have an inverted image. So it's not a mirage. It's just a a boat that apparently looks like it's separated from the horizon. But we can clearly demonstrate that the sky is being mirrored. And so if we could wipe away the mirage, all we would see is the water farther in the distance. The boat didn't all of a sudden appear, the curve didn't all of a sudden now flatten, but they say it did. That's what the literature says. That's what Andrew Thomas Young says. That refraction in looming gives the Earth an apparent concave look. So
a needle pulling thread.
It makes it look both concaved and convex in their system. I don't think it does. I think it just looks like distance. And sometimes I can see very, very far and very, very small and very, very distorted. And when it's that far away, it's not clear. It's broken up. It's behind many, many, many lenses that distort it. And then when the conditions are right for a mirage, it's got magnification and displacement, and it doesn't look anything like the other image of that same field of view. It's changed. The only thing that can change it is refraction. And it never looks curved. It never does. And then you're going to have Bobby Shafto doing his video showing this object in the distance that is below eye level. And he's like, why is it dropped? And I'm going to say the way that our eyes work and the way that the medium through which we're looking presents the world to us through the lenses that are out there. Because what is the cause for the convergence of the ceiling and the floor? What causes that? I'm going to tell you it's the aether band. It's the medium. Every single time. The reason why you can see or not see, or see it this way or see it that way on different days or within a matter of minutes if it's a Fata Morgana, is refraction every single time. And it never looks curved. So not only does the convergence of and the conflation of our eyesight with the medium, not only does the convergence apparently rise up, it also apparently drops down into the background. It gets smaller and it drops down. I've seen it 9 miles away in all of my photos. I put this up all the time and people just cannot fathom. They can, and then they call me a liar. You are not at the same location because the field of view is so different. But that field of view is looming, which you think is looking over farther over the curve. And I'm just saying, no, look, it's just extending our field of view in front of us. I just don't have to invoke curvature. I don't need it. I don't need it. You do. So have fun proving it. And you can't prove with your photos because you're already assuming the Earth is curved. I want you to show me the evidence you had before you knew the Earth was curved. Before you knew the Earth was curved, when you looked out, how did you think about the world? And then what information came along and made you decide, oh, the Earth is a globe? It's very, very, very frustrating when these platforms don't describe reality the way that we see it, right? So in this image that he's showing you right here with the displaced upright target, that is more akin to this image with the false horizon below and then an apparent sky underneath it. But that's just simply the discoloration of the polarization of the light in that area. There's no mirage there. There's no mirage here with this ship apparently floating above. All we have to do is change the levels and then we'll see a different tone of polarization of the water beneath it. Like this. Boop. Okay, so changing the levels, you can see with the contrast beneath the boat is water, but you couldn't see it with the light spectrum that was coming at you during those conditions. So when it looked like this, boop, it was the same color as the sky. And so it gave off the appearance that it was floating above the horizon. Now, we're looking at these images today with the ability to change the levels of the exposure, but they couldn't do this back in the 1700s. How did they differentiate this from what most people do think of as a superior mirage? Oh, that ship looks like it's floating above the horizon. And if it's floating above the horizon, and you can see where the water stops, and you start to think that, oh, that must be a curve, and boats don't float in the air, so it must be over the curve where I can't see it, and then it's being refracted up so that I can see it. That's the gymnastics that had to happen in this discussion. That's how crazy your suggestion is. That you have to create this thing like that the limit to the water that you see, because then it's always Earth curve, right? Because before you saw this image, did you think the Earth was flat? Before you saw an apparent ship floating above the horizon, did you think the Earth was flat? And then when you saw, because if you already thought that the Earth was curved, it would be because of what you see. You see a limit to the water. And if you think that that's due to Earth curve, then you're going to interpret everything as curvature when you see the horizon. But we're looking at the horizon right here that's false. But if they didn't know it was false, then they drew a wrong conclusion. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Because this is how simple it is. I don't know if you've ever thought about it this way. Okay? It's not that they saw this event and thought, oh, the Earth is curved. They saw this event, knew the Earth was curved in their opinion, and then had to explain how they could see what they were seeing on a curved Earth. Either way, you're always assuming before anything else that you're on a curved Earth. So that becomes your argument, not an observation that you made about a ship. Because we've already established that you already believed the Earth was curved. So then what was that basis? Upon what basis was it? Because all you do is walk straight ahead and the Earth just keeps going straight out in front of you. Straight out in front of you, and it rises to perspective. But you'll read these paragraphs and they will just flip-flop back and forth and use looming and use superior and use inferior and looming, and it's just not helpful. Okay? But what I tried to communicate yesterday and what I'm trying to communicate again in this presentation is the observation of a ship at a great distance when it is apparently above the water. There's a separation visually between the water below, which is the floor of your visual space, and then above the floor of the visual space, above the false horizon that's created by the refraction phenomenon known as mirage. Okay, Andrew Thomas Young, the limit of the mirage at sea forms the apparent horizon or the false horizon, because that's not where the water stops. The water continues to go on behind and beyond the refraction phenomenon known as a mirage. But they don't tell you that. I've never read anywhere in any of these papers the distinction that I just made to you. That is, that the ship that we're looking at right now, the boat that we're looking at right now in my photograph from my video, that's a still shot, screen capture. That boat is sitting on water that is directly in front of you, but you can't see the water the boat is sitting on because the mirage is obstructing your view. Now, when you have a mirage out on the ocean, and this image right now shows you water, apparently stopping, and then the sky. Okay, we're out on the ocean. How do you know there's an inferior mirage out there? Or how do you know there's not an inferior mirage out there? How do you know? All you can see is sky and water. And then all of a sudden, You turn around and you're swabbing the deck, and then you turn back around, and lo and behold, here comes a boat above the water, apparently floating up. Like, what is? It's the Flying Dutchman. Oh, I heard of that. Oh, I can't believe. Oh, I gotta get them up. Where's the captain? Where's the first mate? Blah, 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 blah. Look at this. Okay, right? What's he gonna think? What's he gonna say? What's he going to interpret that image as?